In today's competitive environments, it's more important than ever to have a business website. 79% of US consumers shop online, up from just 22% back in 2000. But aside from just promoting products or services, websites are great for building brand visibility, providing your business with another marketing channel, driving online customers into your store, and also because potential customers have come to expect that you have a website. When people think of web design, they often think of the overall template or the look and feel. That's the graphics and layout that appear and consistently display your content throughout the entire site. That design is sometimes called the skin or the theme of a website, and it's only one part of web design. Within the graphic template, there are a lot of common elements that appear on most websites. Those include the header or the top section of the site. The header usually includes a company logo in the left corner or top center, and most website visitors expect that the logo will link to the homepage. The footer or bottom section of the website is also usually consistent across every page on the site. The footer usually includes important links, contact information, and copyright info. Navigation is usually horizontal across the top of the site, or if you're in a mobile site, you can see it in the three-line, what they call hamburger, across the site, and that's vertically or on top of the website. The web design should lay out a set of guidelines that keep the web pages looking consistent. That should include consistent colors, font sizes, font styles, and types of content or tone of the website. For anyone out there using a content management system, such as WordPress, Drupal, etc., a content management system is a popular option for building your website. There are lots of options out there, and they're all a little different. What most do have in common is the ability to change or customize the web design, usually called a template. All these same principles apply, whether you're creating a design from scratch or using a pre-built template. Navigating the site within that design should be effortless for your visitors. But a website is more than design. We're going to look at 6 characteristics of a great website. It needs to be goal-oriented, organized and easy to search, useful, functional, intuitive to use on any device, and needs to be findable, of course, by search engines. So let's get started. First, many business owners know that building a website is an important early step in their business development. But a site can be a lot more useful than a business card or a brochure. With some advanced planning, you can create a site that helps your business grow right out of the gate. But how do you want to grow? You need to start by defining your goals. Ask yourself, why do I want a website? What do you want your website to do? Think of your site as the tool that can help you achieve specific business goals. Those goals will depend on your business. Some examples may include building your company brand so that more people know about it, generating new leads, especially if you're a business-to-business organization or a business that does business with other businesses, to simply make sales, especially if you're in a business-to-consumer business or a direct retail business, to re-engage existing customers, attract employees, especially in today's labor market that can be difficult, to provide customer support, and of course, much, much more. It needs to be unique to your business, and it shouldn't be something that's very tactical. Your goal of your website shouldn't be to get more hits or views of your website, for example. It needs to drive actual business results. Next, think about your target audience. Who specifically is your website for? This will influence how you build your website to achieve your goals. Your audience impacts everything, from the graphic design on the site to the words on the web pages. Your site should not try to be everything to everyone. Narrow your focus down to the specific audience instead of the entire world. Defining your target audience might sound simple, but it does take a little bit of effort. It's relatively easy to define an audience with demographic data, such as gender, age, or employment status, but if you stop there, it makes it more difficult for your business to stand out among your competition. Stereotypes about your audience can also lead to false assumptions. So what you need to ask yourself is what makes your audience unique. Your goal is to develop a complete picture of your target audience. You might consider examining specific age ranges rather than one large range. Consider location. Are they in a city? Are they outside of a city in a suburb? Are they rural? Are they national or international? Consider their education level. Are these new folks entering the workforce? Are they retirees? Are they high-level executives or somewhere in between? Consider the type of employment that they have. Consider hobbies and interests. This will help you understand where those people spend their time and also help you identify content partners. Consider their values. Are they very formal, or do they tend to want to have a little bit more fun in their communication? Consider their view of your product or service. Is your product a necessity? Is your service a nice to have? Is your experience a special treat? Once you've defined your audiences, keep those folks in mind by building a marketing persona for your site. The persona is ideally an amalgamation of your top 5 customers or customer types. And you may have more than one marketing persona, but certainly you need to have at least one. Your persona should include all of the things we already talked about, but what you're trying to get into is how you can know your customer well enough that you can simply start every page or post or item of content on your website as a letter to your customer. Hey, Mary. Hey, Bob. I'd like to share something about my business. That removes a lot of the writer's block on your website and helps you get right to what your website does for them. It also helps you back away from yourself and stop focusing on you. If your homepage on your website only talks about how many years you've been in business and what you do, it removes any reason for people to want to go further, because what people are interested in is what your company can do for them. So identify the need that this specific audience has, and then answer that need on the subsequent pages of your site. Now that you're thinking about your goals and your audience, here's another consideration: tracking and measuring success. Here's another way to think about it. If you don't track and measure your website's performance, you won't have a way to make improvements, or improvements at least based on data. Let's say you made some modifications to your bicycle to make it go faster. If you don't know what your max speed was before the modifications, how will you know if it worked? Similarly, you need to track and measure online success so you know what kind of improvements to make to your website. You should always be testing, but testing isn't hard. There's a lot of ways to do it, some with more accuracy than others. First, simply ask your customers how they found you. Ask them when they call on the phone, when they visit your store, or when you're corresponding by email. You can get more precise by setting up a trackable phone number. If you advertise with Google, you can set up free call tracking, which records every time your advertising results in a phone call. You can also track the number of emails and form submissions within your site. If you have an e-commerce site, of course, you can track sales. And if you use web analytics software like Google Analytics, you can analyze your visitors' behavior on your page, on your site, and on every interaction to see exactly how those people engage on your site. Take a moment and think about your website or future site. Then set aside at least one new goal that you would like to incorporate in your website. Be very specific as to what you're trying to accomplish. Again, think back on what possible outcomes might be. New leads, new sales, new connections, new something. Be realistic and set SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-based. And make sure that that's absolutely achievable. If you were an online business, to improve your online sales by X percentage over the course of a month would be a realistic and time-based goal. To try and take your company from $0 to $1 million overnight is probably a bit of a stretch. So try to think about ways that you can track and measure success. And once you've defined those goals, keep those in mind when moving forward with the design of your site. Now that we've talked about goals and tips for choosing a design, let's talk about the information within the website. A great website needs to be well organized. Even if you don't have a lot of web pages right now, your site will and probably should grow over time. Planning how existing and future content will fit into the framework of your site will serve you well. Let's take a look. You may have heard the term information architecture, or IA. It sounds technical, but you don't need to be a website designer, programmer, or architect to create one. Simply put, information architecture is a plan to organize the information on your website. Your IA will map out sections, pages, and functionality of your website. There are several pages and sections found on most sites. Those include the home page, of course, an About Us page or section, and a contact page. Depending on your business, you'll probably include products or services as well. But how to organize that information? The best way is by considering your business goals. Earlier, you probably started thinking about a list of your business's goals. You can refer to that list when you're planning out your website. Here's an example. This business sells custom sports uniforms. In this example, their products are organized by sport, but there's a lot of ways to do this. You could also organize by type of sports, by age range, by expert level, and many, many more. As you're organizing your site, here's a few tips to get you started. When you're choosing names and labels for parts of your site, keep those names short and descriptive. As you create your website plan, remember to keep the most important information in that main navigation of the site. That will depend on your business and your business goals. Your plan can help you create and select the most appropriate website design or template. To get started, define that target audience. Remember, we did this earlier. Do you have any ideas on that? Ask people what they would like to take away, especially those of your existing clients that you want to get many more of. And then make a list of keywords or things that people will search in search engines to find your business. Incorporate those words or phrases into your navigation where possible. Use a list to keep all of your site's content, colors, icons, and imagery consistent with your goals. A good content management system such as WordPress will help you do this very succinctly. And also make a list of information and features that you have or want to have on your website. Make sure that each of those pieces of content or features will help you reach your business's goals. So we've gone through organization. We're getting closer to building your website. The next thing you need to consider is creating relevant content and experiences for your users. When you hear the term website content, the first thing that probably comes to mind is text, the words on a book or on a page in your site. That is one type of content, but it doesn't stop there. If you sell beautiful cakes, you might want to add a photo gallery of those cakes. If you deliver mulch to residential customers, you might want to add a video that shows people how to measure a flower bed in order to help them order the right amount. If you sell cameras, you might want to add PDFs of product manuals so that your customers can download the information on their products if they misplace their manual. What kind of content would be useful for your target audience? What content would support your business goals? Whenever possible, create original and unique content. This can set your business apart from the competition, and it will also help Google more easily rise you up in search engine results. Making your website useful is more than adding content to your website. It's also about creating value for someone based on your shared history with them. 61% of consumers expect brands to tailor experiences based on their preferences, but only from data that is intentionally shared with those brands, such as purchase history, favorited items, saved items, previous searches, or previous site visits. And nearly 9 out of 10 times, when people had a helpful or relevant mobile brand experience, they said they would purchase from that brand in the future. People expect brands to provide them with relevant experiences. We're now living in a time when mobile experiences matter more than brand loyalty, and providing irrelevant content to visitors can have a big impact on the bounce rate of your site or the likelihood that people will visit your site and then leave without taking any additional action. Ideally, your website needs to lead the mobile user from one page of useful content to the next until they convert into a customer. Building personalized experiences starts with good data. Spend time with your user information, the site analytics we mentioned before via Google Analytics, to find opportunities to customize experiences for users that drive additional value. To remedy a high bounce rate and a misalignment between your visitors and your website's content, imagine in detail your visitors' interactions with your web pages, the nature of your traffic, and why those visitors are arriving at your website. Segmenting your traffic can help you identify who is finding your page content to be useful and who simply is not. Look for useful ways to segment your users. Rather than designing one experience for everyone or the average user, look for distinct groups that might have different wants, pain points, or behaviors. To get started with analytics, visit marketingplatform.google.com. I'll leave that address one more time, marketingplatform, all one word, .google.com, or simply Google Analytics. It's important to know what your customers are doing, and Google Analytics can help you identify specific actions on specific sites. It's very easy to set up analysis and reports that will help you guide your users' decisions and help you identify what types of content you should do more of. If, for example, you find that your blog on your website is converting customers much more than the individual pages of your site, then you would want to focus on having more blog posts. If you find that embedding a video rapidly increases the conversion rate of your site, then you're going to want to include more video, and you can do that for free over business pages on YouTube. You can also engage people more continually and focus on items that are increasing the likelihood that they're going to bounce out by looking at the bounce rates on pages. Again, a bounce rate is the likelihood that someone will visit your website and then leave again without taking any additional action. To lower your bounce rate or to improve your bounce rate, focus on having a clear call to action, or CTA, on every page and every post of your website. That CTA, or call to action, might be in the form of a button that says purchase now, or call today, or offer a form that people could fill out to ask simple questions or to give people a next easy step in your process. You don't need to sell your entire product or service or your business all from one single page. Having your pages on your website into small, digestible little bites can offer a much more rewarding experience for users and visitors, and that will result in additional conversions or more business. Let's move on to another aspect that can help your website achieve business goals, and that, of course, is functionality. What does functionality mean in this context? It refers to the parts of your website that allow visitors to take actions that they find useful to them. If you're making a list of all the functionality you want to include on your site, more common examples might be a site search, in order to have people allowed to search for the information that they want. This is especially helpful on mobile devices because people don't browse nearly as much on mobile as they do on regular PC web pages. A contact form. And again, contact forms need to be as simple and as clear as possible. If you're thinking about forms for your site, make sure that you only ask the information absolutely necessary, and consider breaking your form up into additional steps in your purchase process versus trying to ask every question you possibly could up front. Likewise, make sure that when you fill out a form or when you ask your customers to fill out a form, reduce the amount of effort that it takes for them to complete that form. That can be in the form of multiple choice questions, simple yes or no's, highlights and selects. Free form answers on forms are the hardest to fill out. So reducing the amount of those free form questions or those fill in the blank questions will dramatically improve the user experience for those forms. And in turn, you will find that many more people will actually fill out your form. You can also have an online shopping cart or allow checkout right from your page. A consideration for shopping carts is to maybe not require people to sign on as a user or to register as a user and allow them to instead check out as a guest. If they want to give you their information and have your website save that information for future visits, you can do that, but it might be just as easy to allow that over an email that you would send to allow them to log back in. People are very cautious about sharing their personal information in today's world. So you need to think about what steps and what things that you can do to decrease their anxiety when they're ready to order from you. Making your website as simple as possible, as clear as possible, and only asking relevant questions as they check out is going to be very important. And then of course you can also create custom tools designed specifically for your customers. I want to go into a couple of examples here. Functionality can help support your business's goals. Let's look at 3 scenarios. First, a locally owned landscaping company delivers mulch to homes, but most homeowners order too much or order too little. A way to help would be to create an online mulch calculator. Customers enter the dimensions of their mulch beds and the depth they want, and the calculator will tell them how many cubic yards they need to order. Number 2, if you start your own salon and you're the only person working there and can't possibly answer the phones when you're with a client, an easy thing to do would be to set up or license an appointment scheduling tool to allow people to browse your appointments and schedule something online. And finally, you answer the same set of questions on the phone every single day. Your website can help by creating a simple web page for frequently asked questions, or FAQs, to help customers find answers to the most basic questions. This is also wonderful fodder for blog posts or for small content that you already know people are asking about. If you have questions that every one of your customers asks when they're calling you or when they visit your store or when you interact with them, they are giving you perfect examples of ready-to-use content that's going to help you get found online because that's what your customers are asking. Answer those questions in a clear and succinct way to get them the answers that they need. The more useful your website is, the more findable your content is, and the more successful your end result will be. Next, a great website is intuitive. I've covered some big picture topics: goals, audience, measurement. Let's move on to the actual website. This section is going to be focused on design, not simply how pretty your website is, although of course an appealing design is important. This section is focused on how intuitive or easy to use your website design is. In other words, does your site design naturally lead visitors through a process on your site to accomplish the goals that you laid out for your site? Here's another way to think about it. Visitors should not need to think about, or worse, struggle to find what they're looking for or do what they want to do on your site. Your design can have a big impact on whether your site helps you reach your business goals. So let's look at a few things to consider when building a great website experience for your visitors. A reminder about mobile. Did you know that more than half of all web traffic is now coming from smartphones and tablets? And with the advancement of mobile devices, consumers have come to expect easy and frictionless experiences across every interaction they have with your business. 46% of people say that they would not purchase from a brand again if they had an interruptive mobile experience. Simply, if they tried to do something and it didn't work. Making your website work on mobile phones is no longer an afterthought, it is a priority. Remember mobile users as you work through goals, audience, and site design, and make sure to test your website on a mobile device, probably on Android and iOS, as you move forward. The good news is that more and more websites are being built from scratch and from the start with technology that automatically optimizes websites format to fit the device that it's being viewed on. This is called responsive web design, and responsive design adjusts the site appearance to best present the information based on the size and screen type of the device. Using a mobile-friendly design is an important first step, and here's a few additional tips to ensure your website visitors have a great experience. First, you want to make it easy to use your site. You can do this by highlighting elements that are selected, for example, when choosing options on an e-commerce store. Design your site to allow plenty of space for users to tap so they don't end up frustrated by making the wrong selections as they're browsing on a 4-inch mobile screen. And ensure that your calls to action, those CTAs, can be tapped with your finger to make the process of converting as easy as possible. This example business is from Patricia Nash Designs. The example is great because there's a very easy click to learn more in the search functionality in the upper right, and filter options make it clear and easy to learn more about the business. Next, make it easy for customers to shop, continue shopping, and/or come back to an earlier page to ensure that if they do come back to the site after a break, they can still easily accomplish what they tried to do when they visited the first time. This example business is Faribault Wooden Mill Company, and we added this because of the helpful added to cart link to allow them to continue shopping without disrupting the experience. Another tip is to recommend similar products throughout the shopping experience to make it easy for your customers to find what they need. For example, if you have a sporting goods store and someone selects a specific kind of good that relates to fishing, for example, you might want to offer up things that other people commonly pursue or peruse when they're ready to buy. So for example, if you buy a fishing net, they might also be interested in fishing lures. Third, make it easy for visitors to check out and pay on mobile devices. How many of you have visited a website and tried to check out only to have difficulty entering your credit card numbers? Having a difficult checkout process can have a major impact on the conversion rate or likelihood that you're going to get things done the way you intend on that site. Here are some things to do to make it easier for your visitors to check out. First, reduce the number of steps in your checkout process. Show your visitors progress as they move through the checkout process. This simple breadcrumb design lets them know they're just about done. Or use guest checkouts, so visitors don't need to sign up to purchase. Make sure to offer them a sign up later or save their profiles for next time if possible. And finally, you can enable digital wallets such as Google Pay or Apple Pay for a truly frictionless experience. This example is from Janus Motorcycles. They have a clear creek out that shows customers their progress and next steps. Last but not least, a great website is search friendly. After all, if you made the time, effort, and expense to plan and create your website, you'll definitely want to make sure that potential customers can find you when they search online. The process of helping a website increase its visibility on search engines is called search engine optimization, or SEO. SEO merits its own presentation, but this section will give you some tips to get your website off to a good start in being as findable as possible on Google. Imagine that the web is a book with trillions of pages. Google's job is to read the book, categorize the pages, and help searchers find the information on these pages. Simple, right? To read the pages, Google uses software called robots or web crawlers or spiders. As new pages are found on your site, they're added to Google's master index. The data in this index is stored in facilities called data centers. When people search, results shown are pulled from the data stored in those data centers. When you start your search, Google's algorithm starts the process of finding those results. The algorithm looks at the word or phrase you typed and uses more than 200 signals to identify the most relevant results. Examples of those algorithm signals include the freshness of content on a website or how recently that content was posted, the number of other websites linking to a particular site, and the authority of those links, the quality of the content on the site, and if it is unique, the URL or website address, and the page title, and whether the best result is a web page, an image, video, news article, etc. As you look at Google and in search engine optimization in general, the goal of all SEO is to help users of search engines find what they're looking for. And what they're looking for may not be your business unless you've taken the time to match your content and your website's information to what people are interested in. Google's job is to give your company to that viewer if your website is the best match. It's a matchmaking tool. And so you need to be as useful as possible to your end users. And then make all of your content as readable and searchable as possible. Consider alt tags, A-L-T, alt tags on your images so that people can, or so that Google and search engines can see what the images on your site are. If your website just has images loaded and those image names aren't descriptive at all, Google has no context for what that image might be. So make sure that you focus on every part of information that can be relevant and helpful to users. Likewise with videos, if you upload a video via YouTube, make sure that you tag that video and title the video with something connected or including the search phrase that you'd like to be found for. After the search, this is what a searcher sees. This is the search engine results page, or SERP. At the top, you'll see a word or phrase that your searcher typed in. That is the search query, in this case, Stasia's Bakery. Below the search query, you'll see the search results. This page can include ads, identified with the ad label, and below the text ad in this example, you'll see the start of the natural or organic results. Creating a search-friendly site helps increase your chances of appearing on this area in the organic results of the page. Organic results are web pages that Google's algorithm, again with those 200 plus optimal type fields, will identify as the most useful matches for the search. Clicks on organic search results are free. It's important to note that websites cannot pay Google to appear in the organic results, and advertising does not influence a website's organic presence or position. On the right sidebar, you'll see a selection that provides useful information for the searcher. This is called Google My Business, and it's a free tool that helps you add your business info on Google Search and on Google Maps. Here's a few tips specific to build a website that can help you get found for the search terms that your customers are looking for when they're ready to buy. First, optimize load time, especially for people viewing your site on mobile devices. You want to make sure that your content and your images are as compressed as possible while still looking good. For most people, that includes having .jpg or JPEG images for anything that's a photo of a person or a landscape or anything with a lot of gradients and blur in it. So JPEGs are good for that. For graphics, for things with hard edges and few gradients, .gif files or .png files are usually good. For downloadable content in documents, PDF files are often good for that. Make sure that all of your images, all of your content is as compressed as possible. Again, you're going to need to work inside of some sort of a tool. A lot of tools, including Google's own website building tool, will automatically optimize images for you and speed up your website. If you use a tool like WordPress, there are plugins to help you optimize image sizing, and you can actually choose what kinds of images you include and optimize those images for ideal speed. Next, original content. You want to have useful, information-rich, clear, and accurate content. Include keywords that users would find on your pages if they were searching for you, and make sure that your site actually includes those keywords. For links, especially in the navigation, use text when possible, and if it's an image, make sure to include a relevant alt tag. An alt tag, again, will tell Google what the content of that image is. You should make your alt tags keyword rich as well. If, for example, you are a pet shop and you're providing images of kittens, you might want to have the alt tag for your kitten be kitten instead of saying image 1, 2, 3. When you have good page titles and descriptions, that helps Google display your content in a way that's most likely to receive a click. Ensure that your title tag elements and alt attributes are descriptive, specific, and accurate. This is a little bit heady, so I want to back up just a second on this. The page title is what shows up in blue in the search engine result. So if I back up, Stasia's Bakery, The Ultimate Celebration Cakes, stasiasbakery.com is the title. The description is underneath that in black, and that's "We ship everywhere, call us today." So what you're trying to do is to make it more likely that people will actually click on that link. That's what alt titles and descriptions will do. Remember information architecture? This not only helps your human visitors, it helps Google interpret the content, including what's important and what's less important on your website. Finally, design your website for all browsers, device types, and sizes. And that needs to, of course, include desktops, tablets, and little bitty 4-inch smartphones. I've covered a lot of information today. Let me talk about what you should do next. First, start by making a list of business goals that you want to support with your website. Your website should drive actual traffic to your pages. It should offer business results. If you're a business-to-business business or a business that serves other businesses, you're probably looking for ways to generate new leads. So you want to make connections, offer people ways to fill out forms, to connect, to download helpful things, or to give you a call in order so that you can know more about them and continually warm up that prospect with additional helpful information. If you're a B2C company or a business that is direct to retail, you want to make the purchase process as simple as possible. Remove the amount of links, the amount of goals, the amount of content, the amount of clutter that might get between someone clicking on buy and their browsing. If you're building a new site, choose a design that works on all browsers and devices. If you've had your site for a while, check to see how it performs on all devices, especially on mobile. You can use a mobile-friendly test, and the easiest way to find that is to Google mobile-friendly test. Third, create or recreate a plan for your content, your website's information architecture. Organization will help human visitors and search engines navigate your website more easily. Once you have your plan, start adding content. The more often you can publish useful, original content on your site, the better. If you're looking for a baseline, I would recommend publishing to your site at least once a week. If you can't make once a week work, go for once a month, but try to build in some time into your marketing schedule to keep your website updated consistently. This is where tools like WordPress can be very helpful because it's easy to publish to a content management system or CMS. And if you had to generate that content on your own using HTML, it might be just too big of a hill to climb. So focus on a tool that can help you build your website easily, and then content is king. Once you have your plan, start adding that content. Again, the more often you can publish useful original content on your site, the better. And then think about how your website can offer functionality that supports your business goals. Before investing the time and resource to build a custom tool, it's really worth checking to see if existing software can be bought or licensed for your site. This again is where a tool like WordPress comes in handy. It's the largest publishing platform on the web, and so there's tools for almost everything under the sun inside of WordPress. Last but not least, make sure that your website is search engine friendly. If search engines can't find your site, neither can your customers. So focus on SEO and make sure that your keywords and content are easy to find, contextually fresh and original, and that you're optimizing your site for usability for search engines by making it as fast as possible, offering up easy alt tags and descriptions, and offering up all of the mobile data as much as possible. You also need to make sure that your website is secure or has a secure socket layer or SSL. This is the option that allows your website to show up with the little HTTPS and the little padlock in Chrome browsers. You need to have a secure experience in order to improve and encrypt the data that transports between users and your website. And if you don't have a secure website, Google will actually flag your site to browsers and say that this information is not secure. That's obviously going to decrease their trust in your site and decrease the likelihood that they're going to take any next steps with you. So again, focus to make sure that your website is safe, secure, fast, and useful, and that it helps your customers get the results that they're looking for. If you're ready to build on what you've learned so far, you can reinforce today's workshop by taking free and interactive lessons about a variety of digital marketing topics. These fast and easy lessons take about 5 minutes each to complete, and you can learn more about online marketing whenever you have a few minutes to spare. Select lessons are available at gybo.com/lessons, or you can also download Primer. That is a free mobile app that includes all of those lessons. The Android version of Primer is available on Google Play, or you can download the iPhone app by visiting the App Store. You can access links to the apps, again, at gybo.com/lessons. Thank you so much for listening. On behalf of the entire team, I wish you great success growing your business online. I am Dave Meyer, and again, thank you for helping to connect with me and your business, and cheers to helping you get your business online.
Do we have any questions, folks?
See. Okay, Dave, we did have a couple questions that came directly to me, so I will ask those quick. The first one, let's see here. If a third party built your website, what's the best questions to ask them?
So there are a bunch of questions that you should ask. Of course, you'd want to look at your analytics and see how your website is being used, how popular the pages are, the kinds of content that are most relevant to your users. And for that, the easiest and free version to get analytics is to use Google Analytics. And that's, again, at marketingplatform.google.com. So I would first check that. And then second, I would ask your business or the person that's running your website to check and see what they've got as far as alt tags and search engine optimization. you can actually use SEO checker tools. And if folks are interested in that, if they probably just chat Christy, I can send you a link to the web checking tool. But there's all kinds of ways to find out how optimized your website already is for search engines. Another one that I did mention very briefly is the Google Search Console tool. And so if your webmaster hasn't installed Web or Search Console at google.com/webmasters, I would use that tool to find out how optimized your website is as well. So again, those two tools, Google Analytics at marketingplatform.google.com and Google Search Console at google.com/webmaster.
Awesome. Thanks, Dave. And just so everyone knows, I do have Dave's email address listed on the screen right now, and also mine. So if you think of other questions, please shoot them to us. Dave, a couple more. One of the participants asked if their software that they use, that they built their website, has a place for SEO keywords and for meta tags. Do they need to fill out both of those?
You can, although it's important to note that the keywords metadata is largely ignored by Google and all search engines. You won't affect your search engine results by loading your keywords into the meta descriptions anymore. However, meta or alt tags, including titles and descriptions, will help by making your content more productive once it shows up in search engine results. So it's more likely that people will click on your website if instead of saying about or your business name, it says something relating to the keyword that they're searching for, and similarly for the description. So don't worry about the keywords meta tag. Instead, focus your time on updating your content and load your alt titles and alt descriptions, meta titles and meta descriptions into your content as much as possible.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And then we have a couple questions on the image size. So I'm going to ask both questions, and then hopefully you can answer them in one. So one of the questions that came through was how to compress your images if you don't have a WordPress site. And then another one came through and said that they think their pictures are slowing down the website loading time. So they wanted to know if there was a tool that they could preview their website to see what's slowing it down, and then recommend how to speed up that loading time.
Sure. The easiest answer for decreasing the size of images is to Google for image size shrinker. There's a tool from Yahoo called Smushit, and the Smushit tool is really interesting, and it'll actually compress the entire website and all of the pages and images inside of that. So that's a great tool to start with. There's free image editing software that you can get for both Mac and PCs that you can use to compress imagery. And there's just a lot of opportunities and imagery tools available for free online. So pick your poison regarding, if the original question or the person that posted the first question wants to share what the tool is that they are using, I can offer some specific suggestions. But for Mac and PC, Mac, I like Pixelmator, and PC, I'm not positive about, but there's a lot of really good image compression tools. And then as far as the right size of images on your website, again, you kind of need to balance between the beauty of the image and how small it is. So think about that. Actually, I just learned this today, that they're estimating that as much as 78% of all web traffic by the end of 2018 will be on mobile devices. So you want to focus on mobile-friendly results. And in order to do that, you need to make sure that your images look good and are as compressed as possible. So your JPEGs, shoot for 20% compression. And if it looks too pixely, then bring the slider up on your compression tool, whether it's Photoshop or Pixelmator or whatever, until you get that right balance between absolute image size and the file size of that image and how good it looks. In general, though, Focusing on images that are engaging, are helpful, and that don't take up the entire screen is a good balance.
Okay. And I have a follow-up question on that, Dave, I guess a personal one now. I know that you can't plug your own marketing firm, but you do have BusyWeb if anyone has questions. Now, is that something, if somebody came to you and said, I cannot compress these images, it's slowing down my website, can I hire you to do it? Is that a service that marketing firms offer if they didn't build the website?
Sure. And many marketing firms would be able to help you with that. If it's just recompiling and resizing your images, you might be better off finding either a local person that can help with that, or consider tools like Fiverr, right? So if you put out a note on Fiverr saying, looking for help recompressing all of my images, that would be something. It's pretty simple to do once you get the hang of it, but if that's just not your bag and you'd rather have someone do it, I would just find some sort of a freelance help, because it's important to have a optimized website. And if the only thing that's standing in your way is having a good partner, then find that partner, because it's going to be very important and very helpful. If you are at a juncture where you could switch to a tool like WordPress, or if you're a brand new organization and you don't have a website at all, Google has a free website builder tool inside of Google My Business, and that's at google.com/business. It takes all of the images that you've loaded into your Google profile and all of the content, all the information, and creates a website for you for free that's optimized and that has automatically optimized all of the images in there. So you can't load an image that's too large, which leads me to a third thing. Inside of Google's tools, there is also the Google Photos tool, and that's at photos.google.com. You can load your imagery into Google Photos, and it'll automatically resize those images and optimize them for optimal speed, and you can drag those optimized images back into your website. So there's tons of options.
Dave, what was that? You said google.com/photos. Is that what that was?
It's probably photos.google.com, but if you just Google Photos, it'll pop right up.
Okay, perfect. That's great. Thank you. Two more questions. We have to kind of speed through these. We try to only take an hour of everyone's time, so we have 4 minutes left.
Sure.
When you compress your site, does that also work on shopping sites?
Yes, and probably more important than anywhere else on shopping sites, because you want to remove all of the barriers to having people search, find your product, and click to buy. So make sure that all of the images for your products are optimized. And in WordPress, WooCommerce is a great tool, and there are actually image optimization tools that you can load into WooCommerce for that.
Awesome. And then this question just came in. You mentioned the free Google website. If they already have an existing website and then they publish the free Google website, will Google stop bringing up their personal? Will those fight against each other? If they already have a personal website, should they still use Google's website?
Well, the good news is that you can take your URL or your web address and point it to your Google website. So if your website is old, or your current website is old and you can't stand it and there's lots of big images, then it may make sense just to abandon the old website and point the domain yourcompany.com to your new Google website. That's something that's available to do. If you wanted to keep your old website up and have a Google website, I would caution you against that, because there's going to be some confusion when people are searching for your business on Google Maps and on Google Search. They're going to see a button for your website in their Google search results. And if they click the button in Google Maps, it's going to take them to the Google version. If they're searching for your website and it comes up with the other site, there's going to be a lot of conflict. So I would pick one or the other and then point the domain to whichever one that wins. And the Google tool is fantastic and it's wonderful, but it's really built for small businesses that are just getting started. So if you have an e-commerce site, it's not going to work for you. If you have a lot of scheduling needs or other things, I would go with a set website instead of Google's tools. But for someone just getting off the ground, I would go with the Google tool because it's free and it's really, really well done.
Awesome. Thank you again so much, Dave. And if we have any members on the call listening, wanting to know if they can get a free Google website, reach out to me. That is one-on-one training that I can do with you. So shoot me an email at Christy@grownebraska.org. I'd be happy to help you with that. Dave, again, thank you so much for your time. I had a blast with you last month in Omaha. This webinar now has been amazing. I hope that you continue to join us and do these awesome trainings with us. I appreciate your time today.
I'm here anytime you need me, and thanks everybody. Do send me a note. You can send it to dave@busyweb.com or dave.meyer@busyweb.com if you do have questions. Thanks so very much for your time, and have a great afternoon.
Awesome. Thanks, Dave. For everyone that is still with us, I just have a couple more things. Mark your calendar for next month's training. Our third Thursday training is on December 20th. I will be sending an email out next week with all of the details, but go ahead and get your calendars marked. And then one more thing, our famous Marketech Conference is coming up on April 3rd, 2019 in Kearney, Nebraska. It will be at the Eunice Conference Center, which is directly across the street from our brand new retail facility. So we're hoping that you can pop in the store, visit us there, and then head over and join us for the Marketech Conference. So again, mark your calendars for that April 3rd live in-person training. Thank you all for joining us today. We hope you had a wonderful hour. Let's see, it looks like we are good to go. And if anyone has any questions, like I said, I'll go back a couple slides here for us. You can shoot Dave an email or myself an email, and we will gladly get back to you. Again, thanks everyone for joining us. Have a great day.